Well, hello and welcome to another live edition of Knife Chats. As you see, there's a sign up here that says Quick Cuts from Knife Chats with Tobias. I'll get to that in just a minute. What I'll be talking about today is, quick cuts from Knife Chats. Plus, I'll look at some of my most recent pickups through eBay and other places. Some knives that showed up this week that I'll just show real quickly. But primarily, the reason for this live chat is to talk about quick cuts from Knife Chats with Tobias. Um, the philosophy behind this is, as you know, I tend to have some rather long videos. I mean, they tend to be 10 minutes is kind of a short video. Typically, the videos, some of them run as long as 20, 25 minutes, which can be kind of long and tedious sometimes. And I sometimes look at more than one knife, and then it gets problematic for people to look for them. Hi, Chris. Um, just talking about a thing I'm going to be doing real soon, which is called Quick Cuts from Knife Chats. That's why you see the thing here. So, what I'm going to try and do is produce some short videos to kind of fill in the blanks, because right now I produce like one or two videos a week, typically two videos a week, and they can be somewhat long sometimes. And what I'm thinking I'm going to try and do is this thing called quick cuts. And what they're going to be is a video that will run about 2 to 5 minutes long, and they're going to look at one particular knife at a time and just give a very brief overview of the knife. I will give you the how I came about the knife, things of that nature. It might be a new knife, it might be an old knife, um, but it'll just be very briefly about the knife for about 2 minutes or so that I'll be talking, and then I'll follow that up with a slideshow of photos of the knife so you can see very clear close-up photos of the knife so you can see just exactly what the knife is like and everything in the collection. I'll be doing this for new knives, but more often it'll be for older knives and such like that. And it'll be because I've already talked at length about the knife before, so why go into great detail about it again? For instance, the office knife. I did a pretty long video about office knives already, and talking about the Camillus one, but now I have another one here by John Primble. You know, do I really need to talk 15 minutes about an office knife from John Primble? No, not really. So I should be able to wrap that up and, talk about it for about 2 minutes and then give you some decent pictures of it in a slideshow and put it up, and you can take a look at that rather quickly. Um, Other things that show up, for instance, this is a gift that I got from Jekyll 25 through the mail. Now I don't have time to look at it in great detail yet, but I can actually look at it and thank him for it. And so I can do that in a 5 minute video and put it up real quickly. Or when I get a new knife that is pretty cool, like this one here by Kudeman. I don't know what the box says. It's their 435L and it's made in Spain. I picked this one up recently, so I can tell you real quickly what I think about it, your first impression of the knife in 2 to 3 minutes, and then give you some photos of it. And then when I go into greater detail in a review later, it'll be a little easier for me. But that's really what Quick Cuts is going to be talking about, is just very quickly in 3 to 5 minutes, go over a knife, let you know what I think about the knife and why I got the knife, and why I like it. And this will be really helpful. Pretty good, Doug. Thanks for asking. Um, and so this is what I'm planning on doing is doing these very short videos, and they're not going to replace what I'm already doing. They're going to be on top of what I'm already doing. So the idea is to basically try and get some kind of eventually work it up so that I can actually have some kind of daily output. But at the same time, there's no way I could actually do daily output of 15, 20 minutes long because, first of all, I work full time, so this is a hobby. So it'd be kind of hard to do that. And I also have family to take care of and all these other things. Hi, Mike. Thanks. Thanks for dropping in. So there's a lot going on in my life besides knife chats, but this is a hobby and I really enjoy doing it. So I was thinking, if I do 3 to 5 minute videos, if I can actually do that, I can probably fill in the blanks. So there'll be like the live chat that I will try and do once a week. I'm not sure how well that'll always happen, but I will try and do a live chat once a week. And quite frankly, the 30-minute live chat is probably the easiest thing for me to do. Hi, Jayhawk, because it's, you put it out there, it's done, and it's over with in 25 minutes. So there's the preparation time beforehand, knowing, trying to figure out what I'm going to be talking about and everything, which might take another hour, but then it's an hour and a half and the live chat is over with. My 10 to 20 minute videos, there's a lot that goes into that with the editing and everything else. And that 10 to 20 minute video, like anyone else who does any kind of YouTube videos will tell you, those 10 to 20 minute videos take, sometimes 2, 3 hours to actually get done. And then the videos, like these 5 minute videos that I'm talking about, they're going to take me about an hour each, but I will be able to do it a little bit more. And once I get used to it, get into the routine, I'm hoping that I can do these 5 to 10 minute video or 3 to 5 minute videos in about a half an hour. And if I can do that, then what I can actually do is hopefully get it so that the days that I'm not doing a live chat or one of the other videos that I put out, the more in-depth videos, I will be able to run these the other days so that eventually I'll get to the point of daily content, which would be a good thing for me to do for my YouTube channel. But also, I thought it might be helpful for the fans. And also, sometimes, really, do you really want to listen to me run on for 15 or 20 minutes when you're just trying to find out a little bit about a knife? And that's what I'm thinking these quick cuts will do, is they'll give you a very quick look at a new knife, somewhat like what the folks over at Smoky Mountain Knife Works do with their knives. They just give you a very quick look at a knife, and you can then decide uh, how if you like the knife or not. And then I can give you a more in-depth look at a knife. If you're saying, hey, Tobias, I saw that Kudeman knife that you had on a quick cut. Could you tell us a little bit more about it? Then I could actually go back and do a review on it and a more in-depth look at it and tell you what I think about it and everything, as opposed to just 2 minutes of saying, this is the knife, this is the specs, take a look at the slideshow to see how well the knife is put together, and give you something like that. So that's really what these are looking at. And I'm hoping to eventually get about 4 or 5 of those a week in the quick cuts, but then have 2 other longer shows during the week also. And then from those quick cuts, you can then say, hey, I really liked looking at, for instance, this is the Juliet. This is the one that someone sent me, the Magnum Boker Juliet. Could you tell me more about this? It was really nice to see it for 2 minutes, but can you tell me something more about it than what you said in that quick cut? So that's kind of where I'm going at with that. And then also, sometimes it's going to be like, how many Boy Scout knives do you need to see? This is the one by LF&C. This is one I just got this week. So this will make a nice quick cut. I can tell you a little bit about this knife. And then if you really want to know more about it, I can do that later. But the thing is the possibility of somebody running out there and buying an LF&C Boy Scout knife is pretty slim and none. They're not around a lot. So, do I really need to try and say, hey, this is a knife you really got to go out there and buy? Um, and do you really need a review of this knife and the quality of the build or anything like that? Because, quite frankly, it's a knife that you either get or you can't. It's going to be an interest to people who collect Boy Scout knives, but for most people, it's just going to be like, hey, that's a pretty cool looking knife, and then they can move on. It's not like they're going to be able to go out to uh, any of the online shoppers or anything else and go and buy one. But if they're interested in buying Boy Scout knives, then they can actually go to eBay and start looking for them, or they can start going to the swap meets and stuff to see what else they have in Boy Scout knives. And so that's kind of what the quick cuts is going to be about. And then I will continue to do, like I said, the longer ones where I'm going to do reviews of knives and such, because I like doing that. And I also think that's the cool thing about if you're going to talk about knives and review the knives, then you need to go a little bit more in depth on it, especially in my view, because I like the history of the knives and everything. But let's face it, I've got um, uh, classic SDs, the Victorinox Classic SD. I probably got about 40 of them. Do you need to see a 15-minute video on every one of my classic SDs? No. It's nice to know what a classic SD is, so giving a description of that in a longer video is good. But when it's like, hey, I got a new classic SD, I should be able to wrap that up in 2 minutes instead of wasting your time. And at the same time, if I say, here's 8 classic SDs and put them in one video, then it's 16 minutes long. And it's like, you really only wanted to see one of them. So why waste your time with the other, 5 or 6 knives that were in there? So that's another reason I'm looking at the quick cuts. And now I'm rambling on. So what the heck? Let's move on to something different. For instance, here's a knife that's going to show up in a quick cut one of these days. It's some kind of gaff knife that looks like a fish. I think I've talked about it before, but not in great detail. So that'll be something in a quick cut. Um, Here's my Myerchin Marlin Spike knife. I think I could make a easy video on Myerchin knives that could go 15 or 20 minutes, but at the same time, this would also make a decent quick cut. Other things, Swiss Army knockoff knives, the Schrade Captain, or the Imperial Schrade Captain with the little hammer guy on there. I actually have this in another video, but that video is nice and long. But if all you're interested in is the Captain, then why go through that whole video? So it's going to be those kind of things that'll show up in there. Anyways, other things that might show up in a quick cut. I don't know. Products. Um, what do I think about case paste? I might do something on that. That doesn't deserve being talked. Well, if I turn it this way, that's what happens with live, guys. Sometimes it's upside down. Do you really need to hear 15 minutes about case paste, or would you rather have, a 2-minute demonstration on how well it works and if it's worth buying or not, or if is it any better than say Brasso or something like that? It would be a good way to start it off with just doing a 2-minute video on, or a 4 or 5 minute video on case paste. So that's kind of where I'm going at with the quick cuts and stuff. Let's see. Hi, Big Red. Hi, everybody else who's dropped by recently. Geez, it's interesting. I've got like 30 knives behind the camera right now that I could be showing, but I don't know what to do. Anyone see one of these before? This was by Blackjack International. I made the sheath myself though, and it's their I think they called it the Gambler or something like that. And this is kind of cool in that you take the cap off, and all the dice will fall off. So the knife actually comes apart. Oh, that one's stuck. But anyway, this was sold by Smoky Mountain Knife Works a long time ago. See there on the back, China. Blackjack are usually knives made in the United States, but Blackjack International were knives made by Smoky Mountain Knife Works a long time ago. This came with a really nasty nylon sheath, so I made a leather one, adding the Blackjack symbol down there and then dice on the top here. Um, but as you see, the knife comes all the way apart almost. And it's a pretty cool knife, but it's like a $12 or $13 knife. You can't find it now. And the dice come off. So, you know, does this knife really warrant talking to you about it for 15 minutes when it's a knife you're very rarely going to find or buy? No, but it's still kind of a cool knife. Um, Other things that might show up on the channel are inexpensive knives that I have, like this right edge toothpick um, with the pack of wood handles. These things go for like $6 or $7. That's with the shipping. I mean, you can get this knife like for $8 with shipping. Does it really warrant talking about it for 15 minutes? This is one of the first toothpicks I ever picked up, and it's one of the knives that got me really interested in toothpicks. But the bottom line is it's an $8 knife, and it's worth all of $8. You definitely don't want to spend more than that on that. Thanks, Chris. I really am happy with the sheath. It's a sheath that has a clip on the back, so you can actually clip it onto a boot, and it just seemed to match the knife a whole lot better than the nylon thing that they had, which it covered the entire knife. Um, Other knives that you'll be seeing is like the Workhorse series by Camco. Now, these knives are really interesting, and well, you'll just have to watch the quick cut to find out why they're an interesting knife. Um, what else do I have here that I will be talking about soon? Um, Not a quick cut, but I finally found out where the black synthetic case knives were made through. And so I've got a very long, detailed video about this one. It's called a Tale of Two Stockmans, I think, and that will be showing up maybe as early as tomorrow. I'm not sure. But this also inspired me to do another video, which I'm in the works on, which is taking forever, and that is my top 5 black synthetic knives, because I just realized I've got a lot of knives with black composition handles that I did not know about. So I'm doing a video where I'm going to try and choose my top 5 black comp knives. I know this is one of them, but you'll be surprised at what the other ones I think will end up being. I'm not sure yet because I'm still trying to figure it out. The other thing with the quick cuts, though, I should remind you, or I should mention, what I'm going to do is eventually one of those quick cuts is going to be an announcement for my next knife giveaway, and I'm going to use the quick cuts comments for the knife giveaway. So what I'll do is in one of my quick cuts, I will mention this knife is going to be the knife I'm going to be giving away. And I'm going to choose comments from one of my quick cuts, out of all of the ones that had been done for that month, or at least in the first one that I'm going to do, all of the quick cuts that have been done and have been released. And I will choose randomly from one of those comments from one of the quick cuts, kind of like what Big Red EDC did a while ago, where he did a giveaway and all he did was he just picked one of his previous videos and said somebody who commented on this video is going to win. And and that's the way he picked it. It was totally random, and I'm going to do that with the quick cuts. So that'll be happening pretty soon too. Um, do I have anything else nearby here that I could pull out? Oh, I got one, the mini cotton sampler, and it's the stag bone one, and I do have to do a review on this, and I haven't yet. I'm working on it, but this knife, when I got this one, first of all, I love the fact that it does not have the big old R on the bolster, which is happy. And so even though it is in their brown stag bone, it comes in the Cotton Sampler King of Knives box, which is really a cool box. I like this box better than those magnetic boxes. But when I got this knife, I finally started looking at this blade a little more closely, and I realized really not only is it somewhat like a scalpel, but this blade is very much similar to what you see on a grafting knife, the ones used in grafting trees and stuff. And suddenly I started thinking, you know what? Maybe this knife has a little more potential than I originally thought. So I'm going to have to see just how well this blade works for things like grafting and such like that, because I have a feeling that's where this knife might shine these days is if somebody is in the grafting or something like that. I think this knife might be right up their course, and it's got a nice sized blade for it. So wonder how it would work for just peeling oranges too. We'll have to see. Anyway, I'll be doing a video on this brown stag bone one soon too. I should probably do a quick cut on that first though. Oh, what else? I could hammer on forever, I think, with the knives that I have in front of me. Um, ah, Finally got one. I've been looking for an electrician knife with the magic letters on there, TL29. Now, everyone calls an electrician knife a TL29 because that's what the Army called it, or the military, U.S. military called it. But it's really interesting. Not all TL29s are stamped TL29. Um, so you will find actual military issued electrician knives that will have TL29 stamped on it. And at the same time, especially after World War II, because almost every knife in World War II was actually stamped TL29, and so many of them actually would have on the blade here, it would say U.S. government property. This is much later than that. This is from the 60s. So this is one of those videos that should have been a quick cut, actually. Any case, with the after World War II, a lot of government contracts were canceled, and so a lot of electrician knives were stamped TL29 and never made it into the military, but went right into the civilian market, even stamped TL29. And then during the Vietnam War, well, why I think the makers of the knives basically said, hey, you know what? If we're not stamping them TL29, um, it's going to be cheaper for the government to buy them, because if they're stamping them and making all those marks on them specifically for the government, it costs more money. And so they basically dispensed with that so that they could lower the price on the government contracts, because quite frankly, stamping the knife and marking the blade U.S. government only did nothing to stop people from pilfering the knife. Matter of fact, it probably made it more profitable for people to steal the knife and sell them later. So quite often the marks were not put on the knives. And so I distinctly recall when I was in the Army, the electrician knife that was in the little kit with the pliers and everything. It was not stamped anything. It looked like any other electrician knife that you would have gotten off the shelf. There was no stamp on it. So either somebody had stole it and replaced it or whatever. But so there's plenty of TL29s in the military that are not stamped, and there's plenty of civilian ones out there that are stamped TL29 but never saw military service. So It's kind of a goofy thing, but typically when you see TL29 on an electrician knife, most people assume, hey, that's one that was used in the military. And 99%, well, 90% of the time, you're probably right. Anyway, this is the only one I got that's stamped TL29, so I'm pretty happy with that. Now to get one with a wood handle, because that would be from World War II. I don't know what else to talk about. Do I have anything nearby? Geez, now that you paused, here's my oldest colonial knife. It's a Coke bottle, but it's a interesting Coke bottle in that, like I said, it's an older colonial, uh, Colonial Providence, Rhode Island. I think this is from the 1930s, and it is a fish knife. And it has these wonderful green and black marbled scales. Um, and if you notice there, they had to like say everything. Fish scaler. Oops, let's see if I can get it to read better. Oh, fish scale remover. They had a fish scale remover and then hook remover at the top. But somehow they didn't bother to have to say that this is a cap lifter. I guess everyone knew that even back then. That's what you use to get your beer open. But I got this knife a couple years ago at the flea market, and I think I paid like 25 bucks for it. And later on, I found out it's worth a whole lot more, even in this condition. But man, am I happy with this one. This is, like I said, my oldest colonial knife I think I have, probably from the 30s. It's a fish knife, so it's got that going for it. And it's also a Coke bottle, and this is the only Coke bottle knife I have in my entire collection, which is kind of strange for me. You'd think I'd have more Coke bottles considering the number of large knives I have. But yeah, I don't know what else to talk about today, and I think actually I'm going to just have to let you go because I do have a couple projects I got to get started on, including a few more quick chats, and also trying to figure out just which black composition knife are going to be in my top five. And as you can see, it's going to be a lot of fun trying to pick one out because, like I mentioned, I got quite a few knives in black comp, and I just kind of realized it and thought, you know what, this might make an interesting video. So that's where I'm going to be going after this, and it's not going to be a live video, but it should be a fun video. Black composition knives. We'll see how it goes. In any case, I'm going to let you go now. Thanks for dropping by. Thanks for letting me ramble with you for a little while. And hope you enjoy the quick cuts. They should start this coming Monday. And I think tomorrow is the day you're going to see more about this knife, which will be an interesting story, I believe. In any case, I'll let you go now. Everybody have a great day and a great weekend. Stay safe.